All right. Just to follow up, it's 4 days since I put the frames in this nuke. I've fed them about 1.5 gallons of sugar syrup. It's about time to go in and look and see what things look like inside. So we'll give it a shake. I do have my gloves with me, but again, I hope not to need them. Let's see what we got here. A little smoke. And kind of get myself organized. We had a windstorm came through here 2 days ago. And there's actually tornadoes touched down about 10 miles east. So we had a breezy night. I don't know if you can see that there are ants in there, ants in the feeder. Let's get in the feeders. You know, that's just the nature of the beast. I don't mind. They can have some. We share around here. Oh, let's see how people are doing here. Let's just put this right here because there are surely bees on the bottom. And we don't want to crush any more than we just absolutely have to. Of course, don't want to bump them around either. Let's see what these people are doing. We'll pull the outermost frame first. I don't usually do that in a full-size hive, regular hive, but in this case I do because these probably aren't drawn out. When I say that. Very good. Well, all right, this is the end frame, and I think you may be able to see that they are drawing comb out on it, not on the inside. What I'll do when I put that back in, by the way, is I'll probably reverse it. If I don't today, I will the next time I open it, so that I get this inside drawn as well. These outer frames, most of you probably are aware, the bees oftentimes will not draw them out. This is a standard waxed foundation. I also bought, as part of an experiment this year, some triple wax foundation. And I'm telling you, that stuff is good. But for swarms, I'm still using, I've got, hundreds of these that are, just ordinary wax. And I got to use them, so I need to use them. I don't want to throw them away. And so I'm using them for swarms that I catch because, swarm bees are pretty serious about drawing comb. So here is a beauty. This is, let me just take a look, see if I see a queen running around on here. I don't see one. All the same, you may notice, oops, that they're putting up honey. It's actually sugar syrup honey, but they're putting it in a ring, and then below that they're leaving those cells open that they've drawn out, and that's to allow the queen to lay in them. So it's a pretty good sign that we're queen right, that nothing's happened to that queen. I don't see any new brood yet. The inside is still not drawn, or they're working on it, or the outside of that frame, but they're working on those two together. This was the bait frame, which was already drawn out, and trying to keep it in the light, and we'll see if we can find any brood yet. I don't see, not anything real obvious there. Once again, I'm looking for the queen. They look really good. A boatload of bees. Oh yeah. Okay, good. There's brood. There's what I would call milk brood. I wish I had I've convinced myself I'm going to get a macro lens for this camera so I can get some of these images. But down in the bottom of those cells, I see what I would call milk brood, and it's eggs that have hatched and they're just beginning to feed them. And these cells are these cells back in here are loaded with that. So there's definitely a queen. She's definitely laying. I'm gonna look a little further. I want to see if they're working this bottom box as well. Just to see. I'd like to see the queen, but I don't feel like it's got to be my life's work. So, you know, when I see enough evidence to convince me that it's queen right, that's usually as far as I go. But in this particular case, and since I've got a camera set up and all, it'd be nice to see her and be able to show her to you. We're going to town here, people. We are just plain going to town. Still don't see a queen. And I've smoked them, you know, from the entrance, but I've also smoked them from the top. So there's a pretty fair chance that that queen has moved down in the nest. We're going to look and see if they're drawing this comb in the bottom box yet or not. Just more of a curiosity at this point. I suspect, I won't be surprised if they aren't, but they may be. They look like a pretty easygoing bunch of people. Somebody chastised me the other day for calling them people on one of my responding to a video I'd recorded once before. They said, I'm looking at that video and the only people I see is you. Well, there they are. They're drawing it. Not, you know, hardcore serious, but they're drawing it. Very good. So I'm pleased with this. I'll feed them again today. And maybe tomorrow, give them a couple more days. And either today being Tuesday, later this week, I'll move them to an out yard. And look after them there. That's the plan du jour. They look good to me. And when they draw comb like this too, you know, they're just drawing comb like there's no tomorrow. You know, that's a pretty good sign. And the way they're drawing it, where they store the honey in that outer ring and then they leave an area open for the queen to lay in, is a pretty consistently good sign that they are queen right. If they're not queen right, more often than not, all that stuff just goes kaflooey. You know, they just kind of get all disordered. And all that organizational stuff that they would ordinarily do is just falls by the wayside. So they look good. Again, I'll keep feeding them. Even when they go out to the out yard, they'll I'll keep feeding them. And what I tend to do is I tend to take, well, I don't tend to do much of anything. I was going to say I tend to take my swarms and put them all in the same out yard, because I'll be feeding them pretty heavily to get the nest finished out. And and rather than having a bunch of bees, a bunch of hives that I need to feed scattered all over God's green earth, if I have them all in one location, you know, it makes the whole feeding process a lot easier. So that's what I tend to try to do. Where's that? And give this to them. I'll give them another half gallon of syrup. There's a bunch of ants in here that are going to drown. And as sorry as I feel for them, you know, I love, if you see any of these guys, they're around, but they're these big black ants, scavengers. And, well, I can show you some right here. Here's a handful of them. See them, like this guy? And in this part of the country, these are the kinds of ants we had for years and years and years, decades, forever, really. Then we got all these imported things that have overrun the habitat for a lot of these. And so these, I won't say they disappeared very nearly, but I will say you don't see them nearly as often as you used to around here. So, you know, if they get some sugar water from this feeder as well as the bees, I say share and share alike. Okay, there we go. Oh, I get a little more in there. Let's just put it all in there. They're taking it. And, ooh, I need to slow down. That's close. So there's 3/4 of a gallon in there now. So that'll be, you know, over 2 gallons that they've gotten since I put them in there. Obviously, they haven't consumed that yet. So anyway, there you have it. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you found it entertaining and interesting and maybe even useful. Thanks a lot.